Welcome to Rage Against the Mainstream, your full spectrum source for all things music, insight, and opinion. Today is February 10th, 2020. I'm Bill, and I'm joined here today with Connor and Steve.
Yo.
Hello.
So, has anyone encountered anything new or interesting this week?
Yeah, I heard the first song they released from Local H's new album, Turn the Bow, from the album Lifers, which is coming in April. I was pretty impressed with that.
Yeah, you showed me. I
Steve
dig
Albini.
that.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So I'm always down to hear anything new. He recorded pretty much. Bands that choose him as their engineer usually are worth their salt.
And if he's willing to work with them too.
Yeah.
Something, yeah. Because I listened to that other song too, that Patrick Bateman song. It's funny because you reminisced on the Bound to the Floor. I forgot that was them. So yeah, I'm definitely gonna get on that. But very interested in that Local H album. My new thing as well. I actually ordered a vinyl because they took it off Apple Music, and I'm very ashamed of this. And I hope somebody hears me out there in the waves of the universe. Carcass, one of my favorite death metal bands, fecal Michael Amott, who's currently an arch enemy. Started that band pretty much, but Carcass, I ordered Necroticism, discanting the Installibros, and it's not on Apple Music, but I got the vinyl, so I was really excited because I love that album, and I realized they're actually recording new work, and it's cool. It's like, all the original guys.
That's awesome.
The song actually that's coming out is called Under the Scalpel Blade. It's just it's a single that dropped, but they are recording a full-length album, and hearing this song, it's like super... like that gory death metal, like Exhumed.
Was Christopher Amott in Carcass too?
Yeah, because they started off as like a grindcore band.
Yeah.
And then they changed and got a little more technical in their sound. Then they recorded like Heartwork and Swan Song, and then that's when
I like Heartwork.
Yeah, that's
Heartwork's
when
my
Heartwork
favorite.
is fucking awesome.
Insane.
And then when they did Swan Song, that was the huge issue. Everyone was like, "Yo, we're not really about this." And then he's like, "Fuck that." And he went and made Arch Enemy, because Arch Enemy was literally like, you can hear the progression of Carcass from Swan Song to I believe it was Black Earth was the first Arch Enemy before Stigmata and Burning Bridges, and you can hear like that's the direction he was going, and now it's like he's doing stuff with Carcass again, which is fucking awesome.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Before I get my new or interesting, I just want to let everyone here listening and us, as of today, the date we're recording this, our podcast has reached a total number of downloads of over 1,600 worldwide downloads at this point.
Excellent.
And this spans over multiple countries. I think out of the United States, there's only like 14 states, including Alaska, that don't listen to us.
Very
so
good.
Big round of applause for everybody here. Thank you so much for supporting this podcast. I mean, it's crazy to think that when we started this, what was it, March of last year? That, I mean, we didn't really think anyone would listen at first, and now it's to the point where we have an actual fan base that comes through and listens.
I like the idea, too, to really exemplify the fact that this is more than just listening to a couple guys talk about music and music news and opinions and shit. I mean, the opportunity, if you're in a local band and you want to just put your music just out there, you have the opportunity. I mean, if you're not under any strict lawyers or copyright, laws, and you want to put your stuff on here and you agree to it, I mean, we can put your shit out there, and it's a huge opportunity. And some of the interviews you've been doing, Bill, it's awesome too. I mean, half these guys I didn't even know about until prior, and then you get to actually hear some of these interviews, and you're like, all right, there's some shit out there that people aren't getting to see in the news every day, and you're missing out on some opportunity, man. I mean, it's just crazy to think that,
three dudes from New Jersey, it's almost like a Kevin Smith type story, but like we're just three dudes in a basement that are passionate about music, and it's just funny because like the chemistry that us three have, I think it's enough that people like tune in. I mean, there's people that still listen to the first episode we ever did, and we remember how garbage that was.
Yeah.
Like, in
you
terms
can just
of
go on YouTube and listen to the oldest episode for 10 seconds, and then the newest one for 10 seconds, and hear the audio quality difference.
It was just even funny. It's
but even like the flow.
No, but even just like the top, like, what are we going to talk about? Let's talk about Metallica, dude. Like, let's talk about what was the last good album. And it was like, we were like, fuck the Black Album, dude. Fuck it.
I mean,
but
it's
if I recall, I went with Load.
I'm pretty sure you did, yeah.
I'll take Load.
All right, we don't want to go back to that.
I was thinking
like a nom-vet that's just being reminisced about Agent Orange. You talking about Load?
I mean, Load is a decent listen, like once every 10 years.
It really is. Load and Reload, I don't consider them horrible albums by any means.
Reload.
Jesus, we can't even just stop this topic, can we?
Hey,
Yeah,
listen,
all right,
First
we don't-
episode sucked. Let's revisit it.
I'm not gonna lie, I did think about that this morning. I was like, people are fucking listening to this episode, and I don't know if you guys had listened back to it at any time in the past year, but it is literally so bad.
Yeah.
It's so bad.
And it's funny because after we were done, like, dude, this is fucking awesome.
This is gonna be huge.
Yeah.
I mean, it still is a very highly downloaded and listened to episode, but put
it this way: at the time and point, we gave our full effort. We just like any type of recording opportunity, you progress and evolve.
But once again, we like to thank all of the listeners and everything that's making all this possible. I mean, not that we really care if people are listening, because we'd still be doing this regardless.
Yeah.
But the fact that there is some sort of appreciation in it, and the bands that have reached out to us, and there's still more things coming in the future, and the relationships that we've all gained from doing this, I think it's just amazing. I mean, the community is very strong.
Absolutely.
But going to my newer interesting is actually something that I completely forgot about, that I for a while. The band's Alexis on Fire. Mm-hmm. And the song is called This Could Be Anywhere in the World. Probably the bigger song that they had, and I forgot about it for a long time.
Is it Alexis on Fire or Alex is on Fire?
I think it's Alexis on. It's all one word. I've always pronounced it as Alexis on Fire. Maybe it's Alex is on fire. Yeah, I don't know. It's kind of funny. The band August Burns Red.
Yeah.
That was actually a newspaper headline.
Alex is on fire.
No, August Burns Red.
That's where they got it.
Yeah, some girl got broken up with by a dude, so she killed his dog, and his dog's name was Red, and she lit it on fire.
August Burns Red.
Exactly.
Oh, wow, that's
and that's how they got their name.
Pretty cool. Yeah.
At least that's what I've heard.
It is Alexis on Fire.
Alexis on Fire.
Yeah.
Okay.
We have confirmation.
Yep.
Thank
Wikipedia.
you.
Have either of you guys got into them at all?
No.
Negative.
That they're pretty cool. Like Dallas Green. Have you ever heard of City in the Color?
No.
City in Color?
Negative.
No. Singer songwriter.
What would you compare it to?
Alexis on Fire is
It sounds like I wrestled a bear once or something.
No. This is early 2000s, 2003. I think this album Crisis came out.
All
so
right.
it's the beginning of this it's core, but not really core. It's not that.
They broke up and got back together already.
Yeah.
They broke up in 2011.
Yeah.
And then we're back
because Dallas Green did a solo thing, and it's hard to explain what they're like. It's just it's core, but not really core.
If you were going to set up a show with them, who would be a supporting act to accommodate? I guess you could say
it would have to be old AFI or Taking Back Sunday.
Oh, okay.
It's one of those bands to where you could throw them on with anybody.
Okay.
Who?
The Bled.
I can't say I'm familiar.
You don't remember the Bled?
Maybe if I heard a song.
They're listed as an associated act with
Alexis on Fire.
Yeah, it means a member. Somebody was involved.
Yeah, they're heavy, but not super heavy, and they're kind of core, but not really. It's almost it's like old AFI, really.
They're listed as post-hardcore, melodic hardcore.
Yeah.
Okay.
But it's not
like hardcore before it became what hardcore is known
exactly.
as now.
There's not breakdowns and stupid shit.
Yeah.
It's actually good music.
Not like the Clearview scene hardcore.
Exactly.
Jesus
if you get a chance
Christ.
to check out this song, This Could Be Anywhere in the World, I think you'd really enjoy it. It's a good song.
All right.
On this day in music history.
1964, Beatlemania is in full swing following the Beatles' Ed Sullivan Show appearance the night before, with the group giving another press conference and many young men suddenly sporting Beatles haircuts. This was many years before the massive George Harrison, for which he's primarily known for Ding Dong Ding Dong.
Classic hit.
Yeah.
100%.
You don't know Ding Dong Ding Dong, you're sleeping.
Yeah.
The sonic... The total sonic eclipse of anything the Beatles ever did.
Yeah, it's amazing. These kids sporting the Beatles haircuts, they have no idea what was about to come to them. No clue.
1967. After 7 years at Columbia, Aretha Franklin releases her first single on Atlantic Records, I Never Loved a Man the Way I Love You. Becomes her first big hit, clearing a path to the throne of the Queen of Soul.
Undeniable.
Undeniable.
Yeah. I mean...
That's just if you listen to music.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just,
might be the greatest singer in American history.
Yeah.
I agree. Definitely one of the best music cameos in a movie with the Blues Brothers.
Yeah. 1968, Rolling Stone magazine offers free Roach clips to new subscribers. What's
That's
a Roach
awesome.
clip?
That's that little fucking. It's like a tweezer, bruh. It's for your
Learn
like when
something new every day.
like when you have like roaches crawling on the ground.
Oh, right.
Oh,
Yeah, and they start to
that's what it
fly.
is.
You clip them to the ground because they have like palmetto bugs.
That
and
was
stuff.
smart of Rolling Stone.
Yeah,
We're
Those are
really into
huge.
pest control here at Rage Against the Mainstream
Absolutely.
Podcast.
absolutely.
1979, Rod Stewart's did
Whoa.
1978, Van Halen releases their self-titled debut album, Van Halen.
Quite
One.
possibly one of the best debut albums of all time. Serious. No,
In like the top
album?
250.
top 250. I mean,
Dude, you cannot go out on a limb and say that is probably arguably one of the best debut.
I mean, I could probably sit here and name 20 that are better.
it's definitely within the top
Jesus
20.
Christ,
Easily top 20. It's undeniable. It's one of those albums, dude. You have to think about the time period that it came out. You have to think about the time period it came out, the songs that were on it, what kind of cultural impact it made.
I get that. No. I get that from a
Dude,
Did it
standpoint.
really
Eruption
have
alone.
that much of a cultural impact, though? What did it change about the culture?
The way guitar was played forever. Eruption
I
alone.
wouldn't say forever.
It kind of did. You think about it,
Do you hear a lot of Eddie Van Halen influence in music today?
but you heard a lot of Eddie Van Halen influence after Van Halen 1.
Yeah, it doesn't mean forever.
Literally
but as a
until the
standalone-
1990s.
But if you're taking out the entire aesthetic that you're trying to prove in the sense of this album and what it created in a counterculture sense, its debut album, like listening ability, just as an album, you think this is arguably one of the best debut albums by any artist?
I think for what that album had to offer, absolutely. Have you ever sat down and listened to that album from start to finish?
Yes, it's the only one I have ever really listened to.
Dude, it's
Great. Don't get me wrong,
Yeah.
but you're talking literally of any musician out there to be the best debut album.
No, I didn't say the best. I said one of the best.
For an album to be in that league, every song has to be as
Flawless.
as good as the last, and flawless.
and yeah.
I mean, I can't really pick a bad song off that album.
But do you have favorites?
Do I have favorites? I don't know.
Ice Cream Man.
Ice Cream Man, I think, has one of the best solos outside of Eruption. I mean, Running with the
Have you listened
Devil,
to Led Zeppelin 1? Have you ever listened to
Probably
it?
haven't.
not from start to finish, no.
Yeah,
Yeah, but I'm not
first
saying.
Black Sabbath album.
Yeah, but I'm not saying it's better than these albums. I'm saying it's on par with these albums.
Okay, but I'm still saying if you're going to say...
And
Yeah.
I think it's on par with 10.
Facelift.
On par with Facelift.
I'll say it's on par with Facelift, not 10.
The self-title by The Doors.
CIA project.
Take it or leave it.
Piper at the Gates of Dawn by Pink Floyd.
How much do you think that album was back when it came out, the Doors album?
What do you mean?
How much it
Price-wise?
cost?
Yeah, like
probably like
50s.
Nah, probably like $4.
$4.
Well, you figure when we
I think
were
that's
watching,
about like 40
when we were watching
cheeseburgers
that-
at McDonald's in fucking 60s
all
money.
right.
All right, so moving on.
Yeah, 1979, Rod Stewart's "Do You Think I'm Sexy?" a disco diversion for the British superstar, hits #1 in the U.S.
Smash it.
I'm not super big
Love
Rod
that
Stewart
song.
fan.
Nah,
Rod
I actually
Stewart.
can't
Maggie
stand-
May's cool.
I can't stand Rod Stewart's voice.
Yeah.
Young Turks is all right. Rod Stewart is literally, I put him up there with like David Bowie, in that sense
Really?
of like a compilation type artist. Like David Bowie, there's a few albums I can listen to, but if you get a Rod
Oh, okay,
Stewart
in that
greatest
sense.
hits, yeah, no, not in talent, absolutely fucking.
I was going to say, what?
No. But I'm saying like I put them in a certain realm where like if I'm going to go out and get an album, it's better for me for them to buy a compilation than any studio like albums because it's just there's only so many
Yeah,
songs.
you wouldn't catch me with Rod Stewart solo
Hell
album.
no.
I kind of put Rod Stewart in the same like plateau as like Barry Manilow.
Yeah, I don't even think
It's
I
kind
would
of the
buy
same thing.
Faces album, honestly.
No?
It's
Yeah.
just not my thing. Yeah, never was a fan.
Yeah.
Jumping to 2001, Jennifer Lopez's album J-Lo goes to #1 in America. Her movie The Wedding Planner is #1 at the box office, making her the first person with a #1 movie and album at the same time.
That's cool.
Talk about reviving her career too, performing at the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know?
You know, this is something a conversation I had at work. When are they going to start having like fucking like rock bands that isn't like Aerosmith or the fucking
Maroon
Rolling
5.
Stones?
Creed at the
Yeah,
Cowboy
Maroon 5.
Stadium.
Yeah, like when are we going to have like, you know, hate to say it, but like Metallica. Like, when's a band like that going to play the Super Bowl?
This is the thing. You got to figure when like bands like Led Zeppelin, the Stones are coming out, they were considered pop music because they appeal to popular culture.
Yeah, I guess.
Everything they're doing with those types of events, they kind of have to put it in a general sense of being a character or an individual that's, you know, because you got to figure crowd that's going to a Miami Super Bowl. I mean, how many of them are really going to be up there listening to like Fade to Black as opposed to something by J-Lo and Shakira and like be appealing to the masses?
Yeah, but you have to think though, the majority of probably, I mean, I'm just going out on just no facts at all, but I'm assuming that most of the population that watches the Super Bowl is probably blue collar America.
Yeah, but the people that are buying the tickets, they're kind of like that price is jacked up to a point where you're almost paying for a concert in itself because then there's people that come down on the field. Now, here's the thing. But that's like us. Like most people that are already generally established in like a rock or metal genre, I have no problem. Like I enjoy Shakira. I enjoy J-Lo.
I'm not saying I don't.
But that's what I'm saying. But then you get the flip side of people that generally like J-Lo and Shakira, that's their primary genre style of music. It's harder for them to go out and listen to like Kill 'Em All. As opposed to
the fact that Foo Fighters haven't played yet is
that's another one.
Okay, see, Foo Fighters,
they're like a crossover pop rock band.
Pearl Jam could do it.
Appreciated by rock fans.
Pearl Jam could do it.
Yeah, but I think Foo Fighters more than Pearl Jam. I think Foo Fighters
Foo Fighters have a lot more hits
right now. Yeah, right now, especially with Foo Fighters coming.
Could you imagine the Foo Fighters halftime show? It'd be fucking crazy.
Well, they would only get to play like 4 songs.
Yeah. They'd probably do My Hero, The Pretender, probably.
I'm not gonna lie, though.
They'd have to play something off Concrete and Gold, and they'll probably end with like All My Life.
I feel like they would play, honestly, My Hero, Everlong, Best of You, and
something off Concrete and Gold or whatever album came out.
Yeah, they'd probably try and throw something newer in. Yeah,
they'll probably do Sky's the Neighborhood. They'll open up with that.
Yeah.
Then honestly, I think All My Life they'll probably play.
I don't know though, because they're not really in the promotional wheel for Concrete and Gold anymore. I don't think.
Yeah, but it's the last hit that they had or last single.
See, here's the issue. I'm a football fan first when it comes to those events. So I'll be totally frank with you. I would rather watch a Bengals Giants Super Bowl than fucking Pearl Jam or you know, not Pearl Jam essentially, but Foo Fighters performing. I mean, it's just, that's the thing with those Super Bowl shows. Unless you're there, I could really care less who the artist is. I mean, I usually check out at halftime anyway and like re-up on anything that I'm drinking or eating and kind of like re-establish because I just watch football all the time.
Yeah.
So I think that's really more so along the lines when they promote these artists is just for the simple fact of like, I mean, J-Lo and Shakira. Those are household names. You know, Foo Fighters is probably like the
They could be in my
band.
household if they want.
Yeah. Yeah. Dude, it's crazy how they look still, man. Like at their age, like Jesus Christ.
Dude,
I think Dave Grohl looks old as fuck now.
Yeah.
He does.
Yeah.
I think he was referring to Shakira and J-Lo,
I definitely was. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It's okay, though, whatever your preferences are.
You know,
it's like Alicia's still looking good. Alicia Keys.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's the thing. Not with Alicia Keys, but J-Lo and Shakira, like the women of like Hispanic descent, they just get better with the like, fine wine.
They
get better with age.
Yeah. But they're a little more on the aggressive side. They're like a fine scotch, you know?
Tequila.
There you go.
A little harder.
There you go.
2004, Kanye West, known for producing tracks on Jay-Z's 2001 album The Blueprint, releases his debut album, The College Dropout.
We talked about this.
Yes,
yeah, that's
have.
like
late registration.
That and late registration are it for me with him. Yeah.
I do enjoy this album.
I mean, I remember listening to Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy when it came out and being all right with it. I don't like 808s and Heartbreaker, whatever it's called. Didn't like Graduation really. Life of Pablo had 1 or 2 songs I liked on it. Real Friends was all right. But yeah, for me with Kanye, like anything I'm going to choose to listen to, like
College Dropout.
First two.
Yeah, definitely.
2008, Amy Winehouse is the big winner at the Grammy Awards, taking 5 trophies, including Best New Artist, Record of the Year, and Song of the Year, both for Rehab.
Yeah, that was
that was in that documentary too that we watched.
Yeah,
that was like you could not have heard about that when that happened too.
Oh my
like,
God,
that was like big news. Like Amy Winehouse swept the Grammys. Like,
yeah.
Well, Rehab was just a mega hit.
Yeah. And just in that documentary too, seeing the reasons for writing it is just hilarious. It's like my father talked me out of going to rehab with a heroin addiction, and I'm going to write a fucking hit. So like just how ironic and cool that is.
Yeah.
Like that is just, God, that's an awesome fucking story.
She probably should have went to rehab.
Yeah.
She did, but it was just too late.
Yep.
Yeah. Takes a while to stick those things,
2010, future Dead and Company guitarist John Mayer describes his ex-girlfriend Jessica Simpson as sexual napalm in a Playboy interview.
I don't know what that even means. Is that a negative or a positive?
I think that's
definitely a positive.
Yeah,
positive,
100%.
definitely positive.
Yeah,
because I can't imagine that being bad.
Because anytime I hear the term
I wouldn't
napalm,
have imagined that.
What,
Jessica
it being
Simpson
bad?
seems like totally like...
Yeah, like a fish just lays there, flops around.
Just
Real
not
vanilla.
very sexual.
Not at all. Yeah, especially that.
I don't know, boy.
Don't get me wrong. I mean, I'm not saying it wouldn't be nice if she was, but
Yeah.
just didn't give me that vibe. 2011, the video for Rebecca Black's song Friday is uploaded to YouTube, where it becomes a viral smash.
Friday.
Yeah.
I think that's the only thing I know. I don't know the rest of that song.
I rember when that came out. I was still in high school, and I was just like,
I hate Friday too.
yeah, why?
I love Friday too.
This is like, that was really like, oh wow, this is a dumb ass song moment.
That just like showed the turn of like, you can put so
I was
much
getting ready to
shit
say
out.
that.
Yeah,
Like that
the
was like
culture.
probably the turning point in
Yeah.
where music went to total garbage.
Yeah.
At least shit that's uploaded to YouTube.
Yeah, definitely.
And that was also one of those things too where you could be a nobody, post your shit online, and you're a fucking viral sensation. You can make fucking money.
Music news.
Today in music news, February 10th, 2020. First thing we got here is Travis Barker is auctioning off some of his classic convertible cars. According to TMZ, Barker is partnering with famed car auction company Barrett Jackson to sell a few of his vehicles to the highest bidder. I mean, I love watching Barrett Jackson auctions. That shit's awesome.
Yeah, I do enjoy that.
Like, just to see like what these cars go for is fucking ridiculous. And then to think about it, like you can get like a 1969 Camaro. Like if you bought it brand new, it's probably like $7,000 with all the options. You take it to Barrett Jackson, as long as it's the numbers matching car, it's in good shape, you can fetch like $120,000 for a car you paid $5,000 for back in the 60s.
Oh yeah,
Dude, it's just wild. I love watching that shit. The crazy ones are those like Dodge Daytona Chargers, the ones with the giant wings. Those cars fetch like $1 million.
Well, the thing is, nobody thought these cars were ever going to be worth shit. So, I mean, like you buy a car, like
it's like a throwaway
I have
car.
a RAV4, you have a Honda CRV. Can you imagine, like
It being worth money?
yeah, and
No.
these cars were like those, like they
Yeah.
sold a bunch. You know what I mean? But there's just a very small sliver of the buyers that keep those cars in tip top
Yeah.
shape. that
Yeah.
can,
it's
you
funny
know,
too. I think it was
showroom.
me and you, Bill, when I was like car searching the one day, and we were talking about like you got to find like that old guy who's like just a reputable owner, and like, dude, they really should make an app where you go through some certification process when you're searching for like even just like 92 Hondas and stuff.
Yeah.
Guys that just kept them in clean shape. You know what I mean?
I've
Exactly.
been wanting to get a 99 Celica for a minute, and
Yeah.
you never see them pop up because everybody.
Celicas are cool.
Well, everybody
Especially
knows
that era.
those never die.
Yep.
Those are like some of the best cars ever made, and the least maintenance you're ever going to do to a car. And people,
Yeah,
don't
car
sell 'em.
companies in like the 70s and 80s, like, damn, we fucked up. We got to start making these like a little, you know what I mean? Let's put plastic bumpers on them, you know?
Well, getting back here to drumming phenom Travis Barker, he's selling off 3 of his cars specifically: a 1941 Cadillac 62 Series convertible, which is a really nice car, 1960 Cadillac Coupe de Ville, and a 1972 K5 Blazer. That's got to be fucking cool.
Is that a convertible?
It's I think those K5 Blazers you can pull the back off.
Okay.
You can pull the top off. The 1941 Cadillac is expected to pull in up to $100,000, while where the Blazer should rake in a massive $200,000
That is insane. People are paying $200,000
For a fucking
K5
Blazer.
Blazers.
And I think those K5 Blazers, if I'm not mistaken, all you car buffs out there could prove me wrong. I think those are the ones that rust out.
Steve's located one here for 22.5.
22.5?
22,500 from a
22,500.
Well, it wasn't owned by
1971.
Travis Barker.
No, that's the
Yeah,
difference.
but I'm not paying 10 times more for a car because it was owned by
fucking-
anybody. Fucking
Yeah, I'm not.
Jesus Christ could wake back up and
Yeah.
fucking buy a Toyota, and I'm not paying 10 times more for it because he was driving around in it.
Yeah, I could buy a wooden Honda from Jerusalem from Jesus Christ. I'm still not paying that fucking money.
You mean you wouldn't pay $200,000 from one of the forerunners of the pop punk movement?
Oh, God.
No, I'm not even a giant Blink fan, honestly. Like,
Me either.
for me, it's like going back to what Steve said earlier about being a greatest hits artists. Like I could care less about going back to any of the studio albums.
Yeah, it's funny because I will say there are some albums that are good just because there's a bunch of songs on them that aren't all on like a compilation album. But like, there's not a single Blink album where I've listened to front to back without at least skipping like 1 or 2 songs.
Yeah.
Like there's some that have like maybe 6, 7 great songs or 4 really good songs or whatever. But yeah, there's never been a Blink album that like
I've been content with their greatest hits for like 10 years.
Yeah,
which definitely leads me to my next point, which is I would never spend that amount of money to own a Travis Barker. Like I mean, that's not even a good table talk. Like this was Travis Barker's. Like if this was
Stars and Straps.
Yeah. Like this was Dimebag Darrell's fucking Chevy. Like that's a different story for me.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. It's just
what all has to do with who
Travis Barker.
I always had a problem with Blink because they ripped off the smiley face from Nirvana. I was like, they're
made it just like more
original.
like
what a bunch of assholes.
I can just picture the individual that's going to buy this, or at least buy it from the original buyer.
Oh my
he's
God.
going to be like just your typical big frame glasses, brews his own IPAs.
Next thing in music news here is to celebrate David Bowie's birthday, which was January 8th, Parlophone is releasing a 6-song EP over the course of 6 weeks. The EP, entitled Is It Any Wonder, will feature some previously unreleased recordings from the departed legend. The songs have been doled out over these last couple weeks and will be done being released at the 6-week end mark. One of the songs, a previously unreleased version of The Man Who Sold the World, which is recorded in New York just ahead of Bowie's 50th birthday concert at Madison Square Garden in 1997. The whole session, named Changes Now Bowie, was recorded for broadcast on the BBC to celebrate the Starman's 50th. Probably not coincidentally, the 1970 album of the same name turns 50 this year.
Fuck Bowie. That's all I got to say.
So
I like Earthling.
Yeah, I'm not going to go that far in saying because I still respect David Bowie. I do enjoy his music, but this is the thing where I get with like all these albums that come out of like unreleased music or just archive footage or recording of like a live show, and then especially the fact that it's mentioned specifically The Man Who Sold the World. I mean, that's like, all right, there's still Nirvana fans out there. Yeah, there's definitely, kind of want to hear this. And, I get why they do it. I totally don't, knock what they do when they do that stuff. But put it this way, man. I could like an artist, and unless it's something that like I really am dying to listen to, I would never go out and purchase something like this just for me, because it's just, I have what I have by these people. I mean, as long as these artists have been out, I mean, even like the posthumous albums that get recorded, when we talked about like Tupac the other week, and I think it just gets to a point of just like money grabbing. It gets to a real sad, desperate moment of just like trying to find like, all right, you want to listen to this like basement track that sound like it was recorded on an 8-track in someone's basement, but it's this artist.
Yeah,
like, it's just like, I mean, even some like good archival music of like certain artists that I do enjoy. There's a lot of shit that I just don't listen to.
Yeah,
it's cool to know that it's out there, but
honestly, I'll take the Nirvana version over the Bowie version anyway.
I think David Bowie even came out.
Yeah,
like Nirvana's is live.
Yeah, and it was just really well done.
And it was like the third time.
That really put that song on the map.
Yeah.
Like really did.
Well, that song from Bowie's career was before he was like popular. Like that song didn't break him through. Like,
yeah. Last thing in music news here is a biography. The 9 Lives of Ozzy Osbourne will premiere at South by Southwest this spring. Saying here, Ozzy Osbourne defines feeling like a spirit personality. John, his given name, in the first few frames of the trailer for the upcoming documentary, the 86-minute film, which A&E produced as part of its biography series, will tell the story of the former Black Sabbath singer from childhood to solo stardom to reality TV mega fame. Ozzy, Sharon, and Jack are among the executive producer of the picture, which former Osbourne's producer R. Greg Johnson directed. Rick Rubin is quoted saying, "I don't know what music would be like if it weren't for the influence of Ozzy. Ozzy changed everything." I agree. The trailer shows Ozzy looking at himself, looking at pictures of himself as a child and goofing around during the Black Sabbath days. It also shows him on stage as a solo artist over the years. In addition, It features commentary from Kelly, Sharon, and Jack Osbourne, along with Marilyn Manson, Rob Zombie, Ice-T, and Korn's Jonathan Davis. Sharon says he left one of the biggest rock bands in the world to become bigger. A credible artist on his own, finding great new talent, and then he made it huge on TV. Nobody had done that. Actually, this just came out too. It was his diagnosis of Parkinson's.
Yeah.
It's saying here that he's planning on returning to the stage this spring for the North American leg of his No More Tours 2 track.
Did you listen to that new Ozzy album all the way?
Yeah.
Did you listen to the track with Tom Morello on it?
Maybe? I don't know.
It says I didn't know that he was on the album, but that's what it says down there, that he was on it. I knew about Elton John / and Post Malone.
I wasn't a giant fan of the Elton John song "Ordinary Man."
I didn't hear that, but I heard that he was on it.
You're not missing much.
Yeah, Elton John, he's great, but
Elton John
really
was the best
hasn't
part.
done anything I liked since like 1976.
I haven't liked anything Elton John has done since his collaboration with Eminem of Stan at the MTV Music Awards.
That was just him hopping on a song that already existed, though.
But yeah, it's fucked up because Elton John is the best part of that song. Like, it doesn't sound like Ozzy, dude. It sounds like a computer trying to be Ozzy. It's the weirdest shit. It's like I said before, like, you know, I don't think necessarily that this dude, I forget his name, the guy that produced the new record, but I feel like Ozzy wasn't particularly in the best shape vocally to put out this album, and it's just unfortunate that this guy who's getting, I mean, he's done Post Malone shit, but I mean, he's really trying to make his mark on the Ozzy fucking career, and in my opinion, I don't think this is a good album, and I mean, it's just unfortunate, but I feel like most of the
What's better,
Ozzy
this or Osmosis?
Osmosis.
Well, it's funny, Bill, especially hearing it from you, because
I'm a huge Ozzy fan.
I was going to say,
really?
when it comes to like Van Halen, when it comes to like Ozzy, like you are always like the one who likes the not so like typical liked albums. Like you'll actually branch out and appreciate an album even if it's hailed as like being totally commercial and like, you know, totally not typical. So for you to like not really enjoy Ordinary Man was kind of weird. I mean, the album comes out the 21st of this month, and I'm going to listen to it when it fully releases. I'm going to listen to the entire
It's not
thing.
out yet?
Comes out February 21st.
Yeah, I've listened to all the singles that they've released.
Yeah, and it's just, but yeah, I'm on the same boat with you, man. Like
I still think it's good.
Yeah, the Post Malone thing really sparked him into this. I saw the trailer for the document for this, by the way, this documentary. I plan on watching that as well because I mean, again, Ozzy Osbourne is just one of those people where like I really don't care. I mean, there's a lot of bands out there still to this day that put out music that I know is probably not going to be that great, but they're just a hailed artist. So I'm going to listen to it because you might find like that one riff or that one cool moment or like, you know, even that one good song.
Yeah.
And I'll take that chance because you've proven time and time again that the possibility is there. But yeah, dude, this was forced. I don't really think this should have been done. I think maybe he should have just continued to tour. I mean, you know, his Parkinson's, you know, diagnosis and coming out about that was very sad to hear.
It's humbling.
It very much so is. And that's why I do respect the fact that he still gets up there. He still tries to put on a show. And the album is almost like a simpler way to do it without putting your body through so much shit. So
yeah.
I get, you know, he's going to have something out there for newer fans.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. However, I'd be fine with like a re-release and remastered versions of his past albums, maybe with unreleased tracks
or something, dude.
Dude, literally anything up until like No More Tears, all those albums, Blizzard of Oz, Dire Madman.
You know what would have been
Ultimate Sin, Bark at the Moon, No Rest for the Wicked, No More Tears.
You see how many artists he got on this album?
Yeah.
Wouldn't it have been cool if he made a new?
If he had Zakk Wylde on it too?
Yeah, but if he took like all these, you can add Zakk Wylde to the mix as well into this. But he went out and made a compilation album. But instead of just the greatest hits, he went and re-recorded each song with different artists and made a greatest hits of re-recorded songs.
Well, this is actually something
that would have been fucking cool.
This is something right here. I don't know if you've ever seen before, like on YouTube, Ozzy has done a string of concerts called Ozzy and Friends.
Okay.
And it's basically all these people that have been on this new album, obviously besides Post Malone, and, you know, all of his past band members and other people that were never even involved with Ozzy. He's had them on stage to play like a greatest hits type concert.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, like this Ozzy and Friends thing came about when he did the Scream album where Gus G was a guitar player instead of Zakk Wylde.
Yeah.
And he had Zakk come out for a bunch of songs. Slash, fucking everybody, Duff McKagan. Like, it was just crazy. And I feel like this is kind of our segue into what we're going to talk about this week, which is supergroups. Because, you know, at any point during this, you know, Ozzy and Friends thing, you could see various versions of, you know, a different band.
Oh, yeah.
And every little member you put in was just like another flavor that like made this sonic palette even better than what it was before.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, I guess, do we want to go around the table and I guess give like our...
I mean, if you want to just rattle off a couple and then we can go around. Yeah, I definitely want to come to a consensus of like maybe our favorite supergroup in the sense. I mean, Bill, why don't you, for the listening audience, kind of elaborate more so on what we mean by supergroup?
Supergroup is a band or, you know, collaboration of different musicians that were in bands that were successful in their own right. Or, you know, I mean, I guess not even successful. You could have people from different bands come together to form a new group, and that is what they call a supergroup. It has nothing to do with, you know, like comic books and fighting crime or anything, but they definitely make some super music. One band in particular that I didn't write down and actually just came to me now is going back to season 1, episode 10 there with Doc Coyle from Bad Wolves. Many people don't understand it, but Bad Wolves is a supergroup.
Okay.
Yeah, Doc Coyle was from God Forbid. Tommy Vex, the singer, was from Divine Heresy. The drummer John Beckland is from Devil Driver. God damn, I forget the guitar player's name. Chris, he's from Bury Your Dead, and the bass player Tim is from In This Moment.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
damn.
so Bad Wolves is a supergroup, and you know, I think that might be more of a commercial version of a supergroup, but other ones too that I want to throw in is Chickenfoot.
Yeah,
Sammy Hagar.
Chickenfoot fan.
Huh?
I said I know you're a big Chickenfoot fan.
I don't mind Chickenfoot. I think they're pretty good. I mean, Chickenfoot's got Chad Smith, Joe Satriani, Michael Anthony, and Sammy Hagar. Dude, they make some pretty good fucking tunes. Another one is The Circle. It's got Vic Johnson from Sammy Hagar's, you know, Cabo Wabo band, Sammy Hagar, Michael Anthony, and fucking Jason Bonham.
Yeah.
And they're an extremely good band too.
Yeah.
Other ones that are, you know, notable, this one probably rings true for you, Connor, is Audioslave.
Fuck yeah, dude.
Yeah, dude, the first Audioslave album might have been the greatest rock album of that decade.
I might go out on a whim here and say Audioslave might be one of the best supergroups ever.
Oh yeah, that first
Arguably, yeah.
Arguably one of the best.
The first Audioslave album was probably the best rock album, best mainstream rock album of that decade.
Absolutely.
5 stars.
And that was Rick Rubin produced, wasn't it?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's just impossibly over the top. Like all over the place. Like
fucking awesome.
It's Chris Cornell's vocals are like better than ever. Like you got Tom Morello, who's like, you know, I'm not gonna say he's better than Kim Thayil or Chris Cornell.
It's different.
Guitar,
it's a different flavor
he's
for that
more
band.
like epic with it. Like he's not as weird with it.
Well,
like,
because the thing too is you have to remember,
weird, but in an epic way.
Yeah. Well, the thing you have to remember too is, I mean, we all know it, but probably there's a good portion of our listeners that don't understand it. Most of the guitar riffs in Soundgarden is Chris Cornell.
Yeah. He
Kim Thayil wasn't the genius in the band. It was Chris.
That song "Room 1,000 Years Why," which I'm always toting. I was on the Wikipedia for that recently, and I noticed that song wasn't. That's one of the few songs in Soundgarden's catalog that has
not written by Chris?
No input from Chris Cornell.
Oh shit!
He didn't write the lyrics, nothing.
Well, we talked about too, like
Matt
Chris
Cameron
Cornell
was the main driver of it.
Probably the one vocalist of that scene that could have been manipulated almost into any other band. And
Chris
literally,
Cornell.
yeah, that's what we were saying the other week. And like, this is essentially Rage, but with a more so alternative writing style. But the tone of Tom Morello is like Dude,
it's the perfect blend
really
of Soundgarden and Rage Against the Machine.
Yeah.
It's perfect.
Like a Stone, I Am Your Highway.
Yeah. Show Me How to Live.
Yeah,
dude.
This
Exploder, Hypnotize, Coach Ice.
Yeah. All the singles from Audioslave are fucking
Shadow
insane.
on the Sun.
Yup.
So good, dude.
Another good supergroup too. I want to throw in here because we were talking about Duff McKagan and Slash is Velvet Revolver.
Yeah.
That first album,
Yeah.
ridiculously good.
Here's something that I want to talk about with Velvet Revolver. I feel like Velvet Revolver could have been the best supergroup of all time if
They weren't going to beat Audioslave.
No, if Scott Weiland still sounded like Scott Weiland from Stone Temple Pilots and not strung out.
They got Scott Weiland towards the end. Like I remember you were telling me when you saw him live, and he was like, totally.
Connor saw him too. We were at the same show.
He was at M&M Barbecue. Right?
Yeah, 2010.
He was like totally shot
barbecue.
M&M
M&M Barbecue, bro.
The M barbecue.
But yeah, he was like totally.
Dude, he was bad.
Yeah, that's a shame.
It was really bad.
That's a shame.
But I feel like Velvet Revolver could have done way more, and they probably still be together to this day.
They had
Scott
the second
Weiland.
album that flopped, Libertad.
Yeah. That's the thing, though. I feel like if Scott was in his prime, like imagine Scott from like Core or Purple. Imagine that vocal on that first fucking Velvet Revolver album would have been insane. It would have been undeniably one of the best fucking albums of the decade.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
Another one that you're going to dig, Connor, Crosby, Stills, Nash, and Young.
Yeah.
Oh, hell yeah. I mean, that's
SNY, dog.
That's like the archetypal supergroup,
That is,
in my opinion. Like the Hollies, the Birds, Neil Young,
Buffalo
Springfield.
Yeah.
Like that's a pretty hard supergroup root tree or whatever family tree to beat.
And it was one of those things where they were like perfect for each other.
Yeah, they really. And here's the difference, because like one of my favorite supergroups is the Yardbirds. The Yardbirds, really propelled the careers of Jeff Beck, Jimmy Page, Eric Clapton.
Well, and even Led Zeppelin's like almost a supergroup.
Yeah, essentially
Yardbirds, and Band of Joy members.
Yeah. But I think it's too like the difference is with like the Yardbirds and like a band like Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young is like Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young put out really good albums and really good live sessions. Like you figure the Yardbirds was like interchangeable, where Eric Clapton after the first album he had writing credits on the second, but Jeff Beck essentially replaced him. And then that was like the process. Like the three of them never really stood there and put out consistent work like Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young. And even without Young, I mean, obviously, but Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young is probably just one of those like quintessential, like you don't realize you're listening to a supergroup half the time, but it's like that's the band. I mean, it's just everything that those guys have done is fucking insane.
Let's take into grunge a little bit here with Temple of the Dog and Mad Season.
Temple of the Dog. Hunger Strike is in my top 10 probably greatest songs of all time.
Really?
Never gets old.
Yeah, never gets old. The purity and authenticity and integrity in that song is undeniable.
It's funny listening to that song and after watching Pearl Jam 20, like when they're like, oh, this is the first time he's ever been recorded, like in the movie, and then all of a sudden it's like, boom, I don't mind.
Like kills it.
Yeah, every time I hear that song now, like that scene in that movie plays, and then when he starts singing, the fucking hair stands up on my arms.
For me, the hair standing up moment for me is when I watch the video and you just see Chris Cornell like during one of the high screams like playing guitar on the beach, and he's got his back to you and he's just like getting into it. It's just like, god damn, like that must have been like a beautiful moment. Chris Cornell fucking getting into this beautiful song on a fucking beach.
It makes you wonder what it was like while filming that video, because obviously they weren't like really playing it because there was no amps or nothing.
It's a pretty low budget video.
Yeah, but could you imagine though, like being the dude like with the camera, fucking watching Chris Cornell play this shit like acoustic and fucking screaming at the top of his lungs? It'd be crazy.
I think cum would have just came out of my dick, like not even hard. It just would have rolled down, stuck to my pants. Yeah, like
would have blew a hole in your
instant
pants.
cum. Yeah, just an insta cum, dude.
Just been like, yo, what the fuck was that? Oh my god, look at that giant hole in your pants.
I don't even know what happened. Like when in like South Park where they play the brown noise on their recorders, it makes you shit. Like Eddie Vedder's voice in that moment just.
Like I said, it's just one of those things. Like when you watch Pearl Jam 20 and they bring up Temple of the Dog and they bring up Hunger Strike and they're like, and when he went in, it was just a magical moment, and then boom, it was like, whoa.
And the best thing about that is because we think about like we have everything right now by Pearl Jam. Like we're born into an era where like pretty much everything was there that's known for. So you figure in the moment, like think about any musician that you've heard for the first time, and then think about all the musicians that are considered absolutely legendary and hearing them for the first time.
Oh my God.
Like it's just a totally, like, imagine hearing like Robert Plant for the first time, you know? I mean, imagine hearing, especially like Chris Cornell when we mention him. I mean, just any of these guys for the first time, and you're like, wow.
Yeah, and
like, what the fuck?
It's like we talked about before. Temple of the Dog came out before Pearl Jam's 10.
Yeah.
No one knew who Eddie Vedder was at that point in time.
Yeah,
but getting back onto the topic of supergroups, them Crooked Vultures.
Yep.
Yeah, that album didn't really impress me.
It was a cool concept. It was a cool idea. I loved all the promotional videos.
They just went overboard with it all over the place.
Yeah.
Like they didn't have.
It was like, oh my God, 2 parts Queens of the Stone Age, 1 part Led Zeppelin. Oh my God.
Well, it was. I mean, Dave Grohl, Josh Homme, and John Paul Jones.
Yeah, that's what I mean. 2 parts. 2 parts
Dave
Queens
Grohl
of the
played
Stone
on
Age.
one album.
I mean, still kind of.
Yeah. I remember the song "No One Loves Me" and neither do I. That I guess has stuck with me a little bit. I can't even remember any other songs off that album. I mean, it's like 10 years old now. But
I loved all the promotional videos they did. Remember the Dave Grohl Fresh Pots?
Yeah,
where he has a coffee addiction.
Yeah, that was funny.
Another one,
the
Raconteurs. Yeah,
that first album was insane.
That new album that you recommended last year. Yeah, I did. It's good.
It's good, but they've lost a bit of bluster from their early days, I guess.
Yeah, I think that's the difference. I was never really into them, so that newer album was actually the first one I really gave a shot.
Yeah,
and I was like, all right, it's worth listening to.
I like it. I liked that new album better than Jack White's solo stuff.
Yeah,
I'm
100%.
not a fan of Jack White's solo work, really.
Speaking of the Raconteurs, did you hear that new Green Day song?
Terrible.
I thought that was a new Raconteurs song because Billy Joe sounds like Jack White in that song. It was so noisy and shit.
Voice
like,
all
I'm like,
the time. I think he had like a British accent for a period of time too.
Dude, I'm telling you, it sounded just like Jack White. And I was like, is this a new Raconteurs song? What the fuck?
I'm over Jack White because
it might get loud.
I think
he's a douchebag.
I think he's a great guitarist, but he's not the best songwriter or singer. And
no.
He just goes overboard with shit all the time.
Yeah, but even his guitar playing, though.
Like,
his guitar playing
dude,
isn't
your
that
whole
good.
thing with the White Stripes was you're simple and to the point.
Yeah.
And you rock at that, but then you try and do these like 5-6 minute songs with like all this shit going on, and you don't hit it, man.
But even his guitar playing, though, I don't feel like he's like that great of a guitar player. We've talked about this before during the It Might Get Loud thing.
I think he's good. I think he's better than The Edge.
Oh, yeah, 100%. I think all three of us together are better than The Edge.
Yeah.
Serious.
Like The Edge, he's like Tom Morello without any chops, kind of. Like he relies on effects, but then doesn't have any chops. He's like hiding behind the effects, whereas
it's
Tom
like,
Morello
check
is
out
like
this E chord
enhancing
here.
himself with the effects.
You like this E power chord?
Yeah.
This is Streets Have No Name.
Yeah.
Oh, fuck. The power went out. I'm fucked. I can't play any of this anymore.
Yeah, like there's a reason why U2 never did an Unplugged, even though they're not heavy at all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Another one's pretty good. Prophets of Rage.
Yeah, that
Excellent
album's good.
Supergroup. Yeah. And their live footage and everything is amazing.
Yeah.
Damn Yankees. You guys familiar with Damn Yankees?
Somewhat.
They sing Don't Know What You Got Till It's Gone.
That's Cinderella.
Okay.
Damn Yankees does the Can You Take Me High?
Yeah, I like that. I like that
it's
song.
Night Ranger, Styx, and Ted Nugent.
Oh, I hate Ted Nugent.
You hate the Nuge?
Yeah.
You don't like Stranglehold?
He's a
yeah, but you don't like Cat Scratch Fever or Stranglehold. You don't like any of those songs?
It's okay.
I don't mind Ted Nugent.
No, I'm saying the con.
Yeah.
It's okay. It's
Stranglehold's awesome.
With how much of a dickhead he is in real life, I can easily live without it. Like,
yeah.
Cat Scratch Fever is pretty basic. Cat Scratch Fever.
Yeah.
Like it's not something I'm like dying for.
I mean,
Stranglehold is just really cool though.
Yeah.
Because I think of Stranglehold, I think of like like Dazed and Confused. I think of like moments I heard that song. I was like, all right, that's pretty badass.
Yeah, I remember hearing Stranglehold for the first time and being like, whoa.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
This shit is awesome.
I could live without it.
The Postal Service.
Yeah, I mean they had the great album.
Yeah, that album was pretty good.
Death Cab People, Rilo Kiley People.
Yep.
Um,
Liquid Tension Experiment.
Yes.
Not familiar.
John Petrucci, most of the members of Dream Theater, but it's just it's an instrumental. Dude, it's awesome.
We talked about Down a little bit last week. I do like Down. That first album
What's Down?
is pretty good.
Pantera and
I don't know. I just know that
Pepper Keenan, Crowbar.
Homeboy from Pantera was the singer.
Yeah.
Homeboy from Pantera. I know you're dancing around the Perfect Circle one.
I got Perfect Circle on my list. That they come from Tool, obviously.
Smashing Pumpkins, Queens of the Stone Age,
Manson.
Primus. Yeah, there's a lot of.
You guys ever listen to Eyes Adrift?
I actually am not familiar with anything.
Second post Nirvana project.
It's funny.
It's got one of the dudes from the Meat Puppets. I forget if it's Kurt or Chris on guitar and vocals. And then it has Bud Gaw, the drummer from Sublime.
Oh, shit.
It's funny you mentioned
Song
that.
Alaska is pretty good.
I actually don't think I've ever listened to any post-Nirvana Chris Novoselic music.
Eyes Adrift is...
I was completely unaware there was Chris Novoselic post-Nirvana.
Well, he did Sweet 70.
I knew there had to be something.
He did Sweet 75 in like 95, 96 or something. And then... Eyes Adrift was like 2002, and then he just did another band called, I think, Giants in the Trees.
I haven't
listened to that yet.
So you also, too, Bill, were unaware of this.
I was unaware. I thought Dave Grohl was the only one that did anything after Nirvana.
Because Connor brought it up, and it sounded like a name that I should have probably known. So I was like, wow, he really is. I always wondered. I just
thought after Nirvana, he just
Foo Fighters is basically a supergroup. I mean, it was half Nirvana and half Sunny Day Real Estate when they formed.
Yeah.
I mean, even if you wanted to break it down, it's like Nirvana, The Germs, Sunny Day Real Estate, and fucking Alanis Morissette.
Yeah,
Scream.
Alanis Morissette. Me First and the Gimme Gimmes. No Use for a Name.
Well,
actually, in every incarnation of the Foo Fighters, it was a supergroup.
Yeah. Like they've all been in something else that everyone's pretty much heard of.
Exactly.
If you're like a rock fan.
I mean, probably
Chris Shiflett, No Use for a Name and Me First and the Gimme Gimmes, they're not too famous, but I mean, people in the know definitely know No Use for a Name.
Exactly.
Because then would you consider, obviously, how many members would you say? Because, in that regard, there's several members from several different starting works, but then you could have, bands that, became something, you figure, New Order, right? New Order was just kind of like a reincarnation of the members of Joy Division after Ian Curtis died. Yeah. Same thing with Mother Love Bone. Pearl Jam.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously... those stories are cool as well. I mean, we should probably dive into a topic.
Journey is essentially a supergroup.
Santana.
Pretty much made up of members from Santana's band, the Tubes, and the Steve Miller Band.
Yeah.
I had on here the Breeders, supergroup from the Pixies, and Throwing Muses, and the Perfect Disaster.
Yep.
And then Zwan, Smashing Pumpkins, Perfect Circle, and Slint members.
Yeah.
Slint, yeah.
You got any, Steve?
Slint. No, I'm just thinking with the Yardbirds. That's everything that Connor pretty much mentioned, hit what I was going to discuss anyway.
If Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young was the archetype of supergroups, Yardbirds is like the hidden gem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially because a lot of their albums, it's very hard in understanding exactly who performed on what. But the second album is actually the last album that featured some works recorded by Clapton, but that's when Jeff Beck took over on guitar and Jimmy Page was still there. I mean, that's just fucking...
Well, Jimmy Page was always in the back and kind of was a newer member, and then he tried to keep it going once everybody left, and he actually changed the name of the band to the New Yardbirds, got the dudes from Led Zeppelin, and then they eventually said, all right, we can't call it the New Yardbirds, we got to do our own thing.
Well, it's funny because you figure, when Led Zeppelin started, Jimmy Page was the old head. He was the old guy on the band,
Back in October, when I took my trip up to Manhattan for the exhibit up there, the Play It Loud exhibit, where they had the guitars and shit. They had Jimmy Page's fucking Yardbirds Telecaster and his amp.
Dude.
It was like imagine when you're at a bank, right? And there's a shit ton of money behind that glass.
Yeah.
That's almost what this was like. I was fucking how thick is bulletproof glass? 2 inches?
So essentially you were using the analogy of people that potentially could rob a bank based on the pressure and the amount of money they could possibly receive if they slipped a note or used a weapon of any sort.
Possibility.
Yeah, that's crazy. I don't know anybody who has the audacity or the balls to even think about robbing a bank, let alone a museum of Jimmy Page's Telecaster.
It's kind of a super group.
Asia.
They were made up of members from Yes, King Crimson, and Emerson, Lake and Palmer.
Wow, yeah. That's right.
I can't remember what Asia's hit was, though. I just saw this on a list.
Fuck, it's on...
I know the
final
Virgin.
countdown.
It's on 40-year-old Virgin, dude. At the very end.
It's not Africa. That was Toto.
God damn it.
Asia.
Hold
God
on,
damn it.
hold on.
I know what song. I know what song you're talking about. I can't sing it though.
A one-hit wonder.
And even going into other things too, like you think about like Rob Zombie, like his touring band, basically a supergroup. Yeah. Ozzy Osbourne, basically a supergroup. You name it. Any of these like solo artists that have these backing bands, like we've seen in Higher Gun or whatever. Like they're essentially supergroups at the end of the day. And actually, speaking of Rob Zombie and solo artists and whatnot, there was that VH1 show called Supergroup. And
I think that was great with Damocracy or Fist or whatever.
Yeah, and like I brought up before during the VH1 Rock Honors or whatever, when Kiss was on, they had that supergroup that was composed of Gilby Clarke from Guns N' Roses, fucking Rob Zombie, Scott Ian from Anthrax, and Slash, and Matt Sorum, or Tommy Lee, and I forget who the bass player was. It might have been like Frank Bello from Anthrax too, and they played God of Thunder.
Yeah. Another underground one that I'm familiar with, because you mentioned Scott Ian, is Stormtroopers of Death.
Fuck yeah.
Where it had the vocalist from Nuclear Assault. I mean, that was like that was actually a project that wasn't really supposed to happen. It was just kind of like fucking Scott Ian was drawing a cartoon of this guy named Sergeant D. So during recordings for an Anthrax album, they had studio time, and they went in there. Guy from Nuclear Assault came in, and they recorded that first album, which was Sergeant D of the SOD was like one of the first songs, and then the Milano Mosh, which was the guy's name from Nuclear Assault. But that was cool to hear about that. Like that album was recorded so fucking quick, and then it developed like into that became like the hardcore sound, like Agnostic Front brewed from that. I mean, a lot of bands brewed from that sound of just what became like pretty much a joke album. Oh, the album was called Speak English or Die.
Yeah.
So like that was like the huge thing. They got a lot of shit for being like almost racist. And like Scott Ian came out like, dude, this is literally just a joke. Like I was drawing a cartoon.
Stormtroopers of Death is awesome.
Yeah, that first album, regardless of its title, if it really offends people, I mean, I guess I apologize.
Suck a dick.
There's really nothing we can do. I mean, that's just like it was history at the time. That's just what life was like. I mean, but yeah, that album, Speak English or Die, is fucking awesome. So good. It's like 18 minutes long. I think it's 22 songs. It's so awesome.
I'm looking at the sheet here, and we got the Clive Davis movie. I'm kind of surprised that with his like rebranding of old artists, he never thought to like do a supergroup.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he did find Velvet Revolver, or he signed them at least.
Oh, he did? Okay.
Yeah, he signed Velvet Revolver.
Revolver, okay.
So, I mean, obviously at this point, Velvet Revolver has ex-members from Guns N' Roses and Scott Weiland. They weren't looking for a record
they
label.
were deciding which one they were going to take.
Exactly.
Yeah,
and they're probably like
the sweetest for him.
Exactly, and they're probably like, all right, look, we have these two singles, Fall to Pieces and Slither. Let's take and see who's going to think that they're great. And Clive Davis was probably like, yo, this is the fucking shit.
Excellent. So let's kind of bring this down to that. Yeah, like bring this down to that general consensus piece. I think we start with Bill, go to Connor, and with myself. And I think we should pick two supergroups.
Okay.
I mean, obviously, because you can, in that way, you can not limit it to just one, because obviously, like if you're picking like Crosby, Stills and Nash and Audioslave, you can kind of get the difference in like styles and genre. But yeah, I think we should just come to general consensus, like two supergroups you would highly recommend. Not have to be your absolute favorite, but definitely highly recommend.
Me personally, I like Velvet Revolver a lot. I think that they're an interesting band. I think, for what they had, it was special.
Yeah.
From the bands that all those guys came from, it was just an interesting sound, and it was just a rockin' ass album.
Yeah.
And then obviously Audioslave, and I feel like that's going to be the general consensus along all of us. Audioslave is going to be the best.
Audioslave for me is one, and because I just really think if you're a rock fan, you're missing out if you're not listening. If you don't know that
100%.
Yeah.
And then my second one, I'm going to take the Breeders. Because there's a lot of Pixies fans out there that haven't listened to the Breeders, and if you like the Pixies, you're damn near guaranteed to like the damn Breeders. So if you like the Pixies, haven't listened to Breeders, definitely.
But you're gonna pick the Breeders above CSMY?
Yeah, I think I listen to them more. So
okay.
I mean, if you're an alternative rock fan, you definitely need to listen to Pod and Last Splash.
Yeah,
that's facts.
100%.
Yeah,
just that album.
Just as much as you need to like. I'll take those 2 albums over the 3rd and 4th Pixies albums.
Yeah.
Like for me, the whole Pixies world for the shit I listen to the most is Surfer Rosa, and then Come On Pilgrim, and then Doolittle, and then Pod, and then Last Splash, and then Bossa Nova, and then Tromplemond. Like I listen to the Breeders shit more than the last 2 original lineup Pixies albums.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm actually going to do Crosby, Stills, Nash & Young as my first one. Just because like we talk about that and we talk about bands you listen to more than any of the others, and I actually listen to a lot of Crosby, Stills, Nash & Young because I actually watched this David Crosby documentary. He just lived a very fucking crazy life, man. Dude was nuts, and it was just interesting. Got me back into them, and I really listened to the live album. 4-Way Street was fucking just such an excellent set, dude. Like they start off with Neil Young doing a Buffalo Springfield song, and they move into their set, like, you know, Judy Blue Eyes and everything like that.
Sweet.
Yeah. The second one, though, I'm going to actually pick Perfect Circle for obvious reasoning, but more so along the line because...
Tool's like the new Metallica.
Well, listen, dude, I didn't even say the band. I don't know what you're talking about. I'm picking it for the obvious reason because that first album, Mare de Noms, like, between that song, the song Judith is just... it's so fucking good. It's heavy. It's got a toned down version, and then 3 Libras, obviously.
That's a great song.
I mean, it's just it's such a good album, and it's a takeaway from like you get to see the influence of like the Smashing Pumpkins, and you get to see the influence.
James
of, like,
Iha is a fucking super underrated guitarist.
Unbelievable.
He's
in that
unbelievable.
Troy Van Leeuwen
too.
Huh?
Troy Van Leeuwen.
Unbelievable, yeah.
Extremely good.
James Iha, though, like he gets 0 credit.
And and if you listen,
Billy Corgan gets all the guitar credit.
Yeah, if you really listen to
why
fucking,
why you think they sounded like shit all these years when they didn't have James
exactly,
Iha?
dude.
They didn't have James Iha.
Exactly, and I 100% agree with that. And I actually think I was going to actually mention that. That's like the turning point for that band. Is like you get to, not to say that Tool is not as talented, but I think Perfect Circle was more talented for like a commercial sense. Like I honestly could have seen Perfect Circle off that first album having more hits, like as you know, if depending on how it went.
Do they still do Perfect Circle stuff?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
He tours immensely with them. Maynard actually put Tool on hold for such a period of time because that's what was happening. He was touring with Perfect Circle. They released a new album, The Elephant Eats or some shit like last year or the year before.
Did you like it?
Fucking horrible.
Really?
Yeah, it's horrible. I mean, 13
Was James Iha on it?
No. 13 Step is pretty good. But Mare de Noms is it's a great album, front to back. I enjoy it. So yeah, those are the 2 I'm gonna really hone in on here.
You guys remember me probably saying that I saw Smashing Pumpkins like 4 or 5 months ago, and he was for me the definitely the highlight of the show was watching him play guitar.
Yeah, you brought that specifically.
Yeah, you showed me the live videos.
He's
excellent.
He's
very
doing
good.
shit that most people could sit there and practice for a long time and not be able to do.
Yep.
And it doesn't look like he's not shredding or anything. He's just got a weird, different style.
Yeah, it just comes naturally to him.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, a general consensus is Audioslave is most likely one of the best supergroups ever.
Yeah, I totally agree with that.
I mean, tell us what you think. If you don't agree with us, get us on our social medias at facebook.com/RATM podcast, on our Instagram and Twitter at RATM podcast, or you could bitch us out in the email at ratmpodcast@gmail.com. Last week, we suggested to you guys to watch Clive Davis, The Soundtrack of Our Lives. If you didn't watch this, I know I say this a lot, but if you didn't watch this film, you're missing out. It was extremely, extremely informative. There's a lot of things in there that you may or may not have realized that Clive Davis has had a part in. And his record label was responsible for the album of one of my favorite movies of all time. Ghostbusters. It just seems like every time like I do something, it's like somehow Ghostbusters is in it. But but regardless, basically the life and legacy of Clive Davis starting from, the 60s on up until today, all the bands and, artists that he has discovered, his close relationship with Whitney Houston, Aretha Franklin, pretty much you name it, he's been there. In my opinion, I think he is probably one of the probably one of the most important figures in rock music history.
I
mean,
I think he got kind of lucky. Me watching it, like,
yeah,
he's definitely obviously not without talent. That would be ridiculous to say. He definitely has a decent ear.
Yeah.
But like I was saying to you earlier, like if someone presents you with and says you need to go check this band out, and it's fucking Big Brother and the holding company,
yeah,
you know what I mean? Like you'd have to be an idiot to not be like, yeah, this is cutting edge in the 60s.
Exactly.
And people might like this and buy it. You know what I mean?
Aretha Franklin.
Saying it, yeah. He was. I'll give him a little bit more credit for the Dionne Warwick and Aretha Franklin stuff because he at least had to kind of think there, like, will they still be relevant? Has their time passed? Are they able to be brought back?
The biggest one was Barry Manilow.
Yeah, Barry Manilow, man. I didn't realize he was that old. I thought he was like a 90s figure.
Yeah, I didn't realize he was that old either. I mean, it's funny, too, because he went in there like, listen, I'm a songwriter. I'm a composer. This is what I do.
I think I got him mixed up with Michael Bolton.
Oh, okay, yeah. Fucking fudge packer,
God.
Michael Bolton.
You can just call me Mike.
Office Space.
But, yeah, I just thought it was funny because he's like, I know that you're all these things, but here's this song. Here's another song. Trust me on this. And he built a career.
It was cool how he built the Philadelphia
Pride.
International Records that built up like Teddy Pendergrass and the People's Choice and all that.
LA Face.
Yeah.
Like,
dude, that record label.
Bad Boy Records.
Yeah.
Like dude, he's had his hand in so much shit. It's like not even funny.
Again, though, it was like with Janis Joplin, like Puffy brought him to Biggie.
Yeah.
And if someone's showing you Biggie in 1992 or whatever and you don't like it, you're a fucking idiot. Like,
yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
if
you
you're sitting there,
that was going to make, if you couldn't tell that could make some money in 1992, like you have
imagine
no reason
someone brings you fucking Ready to Die. Imagine you never heard Ready to Die before. Someone brought that album to you.
In 1992.
I'd be like,
you'd have no business having any role in the music industry, even a janitor, if you didn't think that album could make money. Like,
and it did.
Yeah.
But anyways, for the ratings here,
not as much as All Eyes on Me though.
Rotten Tomatoes gave this a 78%. The audience score was 81%. And IMDb gave it a 7.4 out of 10. What would you give this movie, Connor?
6.5.
Really? 6.5?
Yep. It was good, but not great for me.
I'm going to say 7.0.
7.0. I mean, I'm going to be the wild card here.
And I'm trying to bring it up to the regular averages.
Well, I mean,
I give it a 9.7.
Greatest movie of all time.
I think a 7.5 is on par.
Blows The Godfather out of the water.
I mean, I feel like this is just as good as Quincy. Maybe, I don't know.
I like Quincy better.
Quincy was really good.
But I think also Quincy is a little different because
I enjoyed the figure of Quincy a little more too. Like, he's like an actual like treasure talent. Like,
he's a producer. Clive Davis wasn't.
Yeah, he had insane music talent.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he was trained by Frank Sinatra and, all these other people that I think he worked with Miles Davis for a little bit.
Yeah, he worked with everybody.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah, I mean, I guess.
Talented.
Yeah, I guess maybe it wasn't as good as Quincy, but it was definitely within that same vein.
Yeah.
So I think a 7.5 is fine, which gives us an average of 7.0, which puts us a little below everybody else. And I mean, like, I feel like that's fair. I feel like this is something to give it a watch because it's a decent watch. I mean, it is 2 hours long, but it is a decent watch.
I will say it didn't feel like 2 hours.
No, it didn't.
Yeah.
It flew by because there was a lot of information.
It was very entertaining.
Yeah.
They had a lot of good interviews in there. They had Simon and Garfunkel, Aretha Franklin, Whitney's mother.
Yeah.
The list goes on. Tons of people.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's funny like how
he broke tons of huge artists.
Yeah. There's only a handful of artists that they mentioned that didn't succeed.
Yeah, like I mean, he did. He brought us Janis Joplin.
He brought us fucking
Blood,
Ace
Sweat,
of
and
Base,
Tears.
dude. Earth, Wind, and Fire.
Moby Grape.
The band.
Aerosmith. Bruce Springsteen.
Yeah.
Patti Smith.
It's funny. Jimmy Iovine was in that too.
Well, Jimmy Iovine produced Because of the Night by Patti Smith.
He also produced Born to Run.
The album?
Yeah, he was engineer on Born to Run. That's how he got his foot in the door with Because of the Night.
Okay.
Everyone's all like tied in here.
Whitney, obviously.
Yeah.
Like he had a
Probably
lot
the
of
big one.
A lot of big signs.
Yeah.
And yeah, he was the money that fueled Bad Boy. You know, he was the pipeline for that.
Bad Boy being one of the most successful rap music, labels in American history, next to Death Row.
Mm-hmm.
Major.
I mean, who did Bad Boy have besides Biggie? And
Junior Mafia.
I mean, that was Biggie's pop. That was like his Outlaws.
His Outlaws.
It was.
Bad Boy had a lot of people.
The Dog Pound.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bad Boy had Craig Mack.
Lil Kim.
God damn it.
None of these are touching Pac, Snoop, or Dre.
Faith Evans.
Okay.
The R&B singer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I remember Faith Evans. Yeah.
Famed wife of Notorious B.I.G.
Yeah.
But so the reviews here from Michael Reichstoffen from the Los Angeles Times says, an eye-opening, not to mention ear-opening experience. John DeFore from the Hollywood Reporter says, a fawning but informative primer for music lovers.
I would agree with that. It was a bit reverential. Like, one thing that I thought was odd too was when Whitney Houston died, Puffy's whole like speech at the Grammys was to like be like, and Clive Davis is a great man. Like, it seemed like he was like, yeah, I gotta suck Clive Davis's dick every chance I get.
Yeah.
So let's just be clear here as well that Bad Boy Records, not to look too ignorant on the fact that they had 8-Ball and what is it? 8-Ball and MJG. They had Boys in the Hood. They had Machine Gun Kelly. They had the Locks. Danity Kane, Day 26, French Montana.
Bad Boy is now owned by Interscope.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but he released 4 albums since 2011.
Yeah, Death Row hasn't been going in years.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. These artists, like, I mean, the most notable artists, like French Montana released 4 albums under Bad Boy since 2012. Yeah. Machine Gun Kelly released 4 albums since 2011. Bow Wow was there. He had a management deal.
Fucking Bow Wow.
Yeah.
Well, and I mean, you have to remember the turmoil that Death Row went through. Tupac died, their biggest artist. Suge Knight went to jail.
Young Jock,
leader of the label.
Dr. Dre left.
Well, yeah. Then Dr. Dre was like, "It's over."
You remember Young Jock? Meet me in the club. It's going down.
Meet me at the mall. It's going down.
And I think Dr. Dre knew he didn't have the
final say.
Well,
authority.
He really didn't have it in him to be like an Eminem or a Tupac or a Biggie.
He was a producer
who could churn hits, like
exactly.
and be the face of the hits. Like,
yeah, Dr. Dre always was a producer that had the ability
better in
to
that
rap.
role.
Exactly.
So I think after Tupac died, he kind of hitched his wagon to Eminem, and then
smart decision.
They went with Shade 40 or
Aftermath.
Aftermath Records,
yep. And then Shady Aftermath, and blah, blah, blah. All right, so let's get into our personal suggestions of this week.
Suggestion of the week.
I'll go first. I never go first on these things.
Go for it, Bill. You deserve it.
My personal suggestion for this week is the song 2 Weeks by the band All That Remains off their album Overcome. All That Remains is another one of those like not really core or metalcore, but they're like kind of teetering on that line. 2 Weeks is a really, really good album. Or 2 Weeks is a really good song. Overcome's a really good album.
I got Redman second album, Dare Is a Dark Side.
Nice.
Definitely check out Bob Your Head to this. I'm about to check right now to see what year it came out. I forget. I think I want to say 94, but it could be 95.
I actually saw a Redman
94. Yeah.
I saw a music video that Redman had just put out a couple of days ago called Smack the Shit Out of You.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Jersey boy.
It's funny.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong.
Newark. Jersey City, something like that.
Newark.
What do you got, Steve?
I'm recommending the 1972 live album released by Deep Purple. The album is made in Japan. The track that I'm highly recommending off of it is track 9. It's called Speed King. Nice.
All right, so our group suggestion for this week is to check out the movie Woodstock, 3 Days That Defined a Generation. this is, for the 50th anniversary of the Woodstock Festival, organizers and attendees reminisce about one of the defining moments of the 1960s. And, so check it out. But until then, this is Rage Against the Mainstream signing off. Once again, I'd like to thank all of our listeners here for getting us up to the level that we're at now, and hopefully taking us up further than that. Tell your friends. Tell your family.
Take me to the limit.
Shove it down their throats. Share it.
Push it to
subscribe.
The limit.
Like it. Share it. Everything. You can do all this stuff on Facebook.com/RATM Podcast, Instagram and Twitter at RATM Podcast. And as always, like we say every episode, if you have a band that you want to be showcased, interviewed, whatever, you want your music played on this worldwide platform, you can email us at ratmpodcast@gmail.com. This is Rage Against the Mainstream signing off for the evening. I'm Bill.
I'm Connor.
I'm Steve.
Have a good night, guys. Thanks for listening.